See, I did nothing wrong. You do not have, I do not have, you do not have the right to arrest me.
I want to challenge the jurisdiction of the court.
You want to challenge the jurisdiction? How you going to do that if you don't testify?
So officers initiated a traffic stop in Harris County, Texas for a vehicle having a fictitious plate bearing the word traveler on it. During the stop, the defendant refused to provide.
Ms. Boulard and Mr. Daugherty, please raise your right hands.
I don't consent to swear in.
Okay, Mr. Daugherty, if you don't swear to tell the truth, I'm not going to let you testify. You understand?
That's a violation of due process. I don't want to swear in. I'm here by special appearance. I want to challenge the jurisdiction of the court.
You want to challenge the jurisdiction? How you going to do that if you don't testify?
I'm not swearing in. I don't contest.
Okay, then I'm not going to let you testify, Mr. Daugherty.
Well, that's a violation of due process. I want this case dismissed.
You have your rights to appeal if you wish to do so, and I'll explain those to you after we get done with the hearing. Okay?
I contest to that.
Okay. I mean, that's your right. You'll have the right to appeal.
Mhm.
Okay. Ms. Boulard, unmute, please, and raise your right hand. Ms. Boulard, you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Ms. Overstreet, you have any other witnesses?
I need Miss Boudreaux.
Lola Boudreaux, do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, you put your hand down. So I'm looking at this case. This appears to be a transfer in from Fort Bend County. Is that correct, Ms. Overstreet?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, so there's a lot of history in this file, Ms. Overstreet. Have you reviewed all this history?
I believe so, Your Honor. I
Okay, so
looked
there was
at.
a temporary order in this case at some time in the past. Is that also correct?
Oh, actually, I did not see that one.
Hmm.
I may not have opened all of the transfer documents. I thought I had.
Yeah.
Do you know how many down it is?
No, it says temporary restraining order.
I apologize, Judge. I did not
Yeah.
see that in our file and did not apparently open all of the documents, although I thought I had in the court's
Okay.
file.
Looks like this case was transferred to me. I'm trying to figure out how this is an agreed order to transfer this suit from Fort Bend County to Jefferson County if Mr. Daugherty didn't sign it.
I noticed that too, Your Honor.
All right, hold on one second. Let's find out something
I
else.
did see that.
All right, this appears, I can't read the signature. So that's an associate judge that signed this order on October the 26th of 2022. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right. However, you've got another problem here. On January the 4th of 2021, the district court signed the temporary restraining order in this case.
I'm still trying to click on all of these and try to find that, Judge. I'm sorry, I hadn't found it yet. Who was it against?
Well, it was a no disruption restraining order. 4362, if that's still the same cause number. 11/17 of 20. Well, you can't tell because they're all the same date.
Yeah.
Or additional order. It's according to mine, it's the last order on the second page of the Odyssey.
Okay, let me see. See, I only have one page, but maybe I can just look at the last one on here. Oh, that's an answer.
94862.
There's a notice of hearing.
So this is my quick history lesson on this case. I don't know when it was filed because they're not file stamped, so I can't tell when, and the dates are not accurate. It looks like the Attorney General's office filed some type of lawsuit in Fort Bend County in regards to these two children at some point in time in the past. I don't know when it was filed because they're not file stamped. So I don't know because they're all file stamped. Oh, wait, there it is. 8/16/22. I see it now. All right, so 8/16/22, the AG's office filed a lawsuit in Fort Bend County. And unfortunately, you filed that in the wrong cause number. So then you figured out the mistake and you attempted to correct it. And you attempted to correct it by filing a motion to consolidate. Let's see. Let me see if I can find that. See your order consolidating, but I don't see your motion.
6, 7, 8, 9.
All right, so you filed your lawsuit and then in October, you discovered that there was already an existing cause number and you filed a motion to consolidate those two cause numbers. And they were consolidated. And you called it an agreed order, but you do not have Mr. Daugherty's signature on that order consolidating your suit with somebody else's. All right, let's see what else we can find out here. So correct my dates if I'm wrong, Miss Overstreet, but it appears that Mr. Daugherty beat y'all to the punch in Fort Bend County. His lawsuit was actually filed prior to yours.
It does look like that, Your Honor.
Okay. There also appears to be a temporary restraining order in this case. Let's see if I can find that. It is also kind of strange because it looks like it was signed. Okay, I think that I'm trying to figure out where the dates are. It's in the
I
right.
don't know, because I'm still,
It's in the right cause number, but it looks like it's actually signed by the district court in January of 2021. Do you see that?
Judge, I've been opening every one of these and everyone, I mean, there's so many and I have not even found that one yet. Is there any way you could email it to me?
Nope. It's in the court's file.
Okay,
The public record that you have access to. You just have to that's the best I can do. All right.
and I don't know why we don't have one in our file either.
No, I can't help you there, unfortunately. I'm concerned that this temporary restraining order was signed in January of 2021. It was signed in this cause number, but I don't have a lawsuit on file at that time. Can you explain that to me, Miss Overstreet?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Miss Boulard, please unmute.
Okay.
Miss Boulard, do you live in Jefferson County?
Yes.
How long you been here?
I've been back in Jefferson County since I want to say October.
October of last year?
Of 2022.
Okay, so you've been here about 6 months.
Yes. Back in
Yeah.
Jefferson County. Yep.
Did you know there was a restraining order that said you weren't supposed to be leaving Fort Bend County?
No.
Okay. 94862. It's in this cause number.
Judge, I did finally find that,
Yeah.
but have you seen the motion for it? Like who filed the motion?
I mean, but it's signed by the district court.
I know, I'm just wondering who even filed this because.
I don't know.
And if anybody was served with it,
Well, if anybody was served with what?
this temporary order, or the
They don't have
motion
to
for
be
the
served
temporary
with it. It's
order.
signed by the judge. It's a valid court order until it's thrown out or overturned. The problem that I have, Miss Overstreet, just so you can see where I'm looking at this is, I have district court involvement in a case that looks like prior to the AG involvement. And then the AG came in and filed a lawsuit in a completely different cause number. He filed motions and orders to consolidate and then transferred this case to a different county. I don't know that Mr. Daugherty was actually served with anything. You called them agreed orders in the consolidation and the transfer, but he didn't sign any of it. There's no record from anybody that any hearing was held. How did you transfer Mr. Daugherty's suit?
I don't know, Your Honor.
Yeah. You see your problem here, Miss Overstreet?
Yes, Your Honor.
What you intend to do about it?
I don't know, because I'm not sure if can it be transferred back?
I'm dismissing your lawsuit. So
Okay,
you got a order. You got a court order signed by a judge that transfers this case from Fort Bend County to Jefferson County. I think it's here, but I don't see anything that leads me to believe that you had a right to do that to begin with.
okay.
So, I mean, there's not enough information in the court file that was transferred to me that leads me to believe that Mr. Daugherty got notice, that Mr. Daugherty was served, that Mr. Daugherty was involved in any of this. He filed answers to all the lawsuits that were in here, And yet I don't see any notice that was sent to him for how he was defaulted in all these hearings. All that's got to be part of the record. You agree?
I do agree.
All right. Ms. Boulard, unmute for me, please.
Okay.
Ms. Boulard, I need you to understand, there's some real complicated stuff going on here. And I'm gonna try to walk you through it. Okay. From what I can see in the lawsuit that was filed in Fort Bend County, it looks like Mr. Daugherty actually filed his lawsuit first. Okay. Now I can't, the court file that was transferred from Fort Bend to me is very limited, but so I can't go through it and see what all was served and what all wasn't served. Okay. But I know that there was a lawsuit filed by Mr. Daugherty and he filed first. And then he got a district judge to sign a court order that prohibited you from moving those children from Fort Bend County to Jefferson County. That's what that court order says. There's nothing in my court file that indicates that order was ever lifted. Okay. The AG's office then came in a couple months later and for some reason filed a lawsuit in a completely different cause number. Then they turned around and filed their own motions to consolidate their lawsuit with Mr. Daugherty's lawsuit. I don't see any notice in the file that indicates that Mr. Daugherty was given any notice that that was happening. He's the original petitioner in this lawsuit. They need to know that they need to show me proof that they sent him all of that information before they just went forward and got a judge to sign it. Okay.
Okay.
All right. I can't see that in here. And that's what happens when cases gets transferred. Sometimes we're limited in the information that actually gets to us from the other court.
Okay.
I know why they did that now. They did it because it was a very contested lawsuit between you and Mr. Daugherty and these two kids. Okay.
Right.
And I get that. And that's the important part. The important part is those two children still aren't having their needs met, but I'm handcuffed by the law of process, the due process and civil procedure. I'm handcuffed by that. I can't go forward in this case and get that issue settled. Okay. So Mr. Daugherty may have rights to these kids. I don't know, because there's not enough information in my file to be able to answer that question for me. And Mr. Daugherty's not going to swear in, and I understand he doesn't want to take part in the hearing. But so I'm just dismissing the suit. Oh, and by the way, I'm dismissing all of the suits.
All of it?
They want to file a new lawsuit, they can start over.
Okay.
All right. Those kids been in Jefferson County long enough. Now, Mr. Daugherty could have a right to go out and hire an attorney if he wishes to do so, and he can file his own lawsuit to try to get the kids back to Fort Bend County. That's his right. Whether or not he does that, that's up to him, but that's his right. So I'm dismissing the entire lawsuit that's filed under, because they're all together. They were all consolidated. So
Right.
they're all in one cause number now. So cause number F242335 is now dismissed by the 4D associate judge in this case. Questions, Ms. Overstreet?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Ms. Boulard, do you have any questions?
Well, the next step would be to refile.
Well, either the AG's office will refile, you go out and hire an attorney and you'll refile, or Mr. Daugherty will go out and hire an attorney and he'll refile, or he's perfectly capable of filing a lawsuit on his own. He's clearly shown that in the prior order that that he has the ability to file a lawsuit. He knows.
This is about to go really poorly, really quick. Come up, sir. It's going to go back to you regardless. Just wait. You now stand charged with your third case, sir. What? You now stand charged with resisting arrest and failure to identify oneself as a fugitive from justice. You're now facing an additional year on each case. We're going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. I don't understand. I don't understand. Sir, you do not have the right to arrest me. I did nothing wrong. Let's see. I did nothing wrong. You do not have you do not have the right to arrest me. You do not. Are you acting under your constitutional oath today? Are you? Yes. You are? Okay, well, good. You are in agreement with the prosecutor, right? I make a motion that this case be dismissed. I'm about to hold you in contempt of you. For what? In order for there to be a crime, there has to be an injured person. The only person injured is me, and I have the scars from the policy officers beating me, pulling me out of my car without even telling me why. Going to do. I don't understand. You have the right to remain silent. I do not understand. One more word, and I do not. You can't do that. In order for there to be a crime, you're not. This is against my constitutional rights. Okay, do I have a witness that they are committing treason? Do I have at least two witnesses? Do I have at least two witnesses that they are committing treason? This is treason. They're violating my rights. They are violating my rights. Hey.
Look, see, that's what I'm talking about. Look. Put your hands behind your back. No, no, sir. Put your hands behind your back. You're violating my rights, and you all know it. The public prosecutor is there a court reporter. Put your hands behind your back. I'm not doing anything wrong. Do I have two witnesses that say that they're committing treason? Please raise your hand. Do I have two witnesses that they're committing treason? Do I have two witnesses that they're committing treason? Raise your hand. Are you raising your hand? Oh, do I have two witnesses? Do I have two witnesses that they're committing treason? Raise your hand. Stand up. Stand up for America. They are committing treason. They're committing treason. Raise your hand. No one. They are violating the Constitution. They are violating the Constitution. Oh! Stop. I have no cartilage in my left arm. Stop resisting. As the medical report shows me, y'all last officers last beat me up. I had to go to the hospital. I'm trying to lift you up properly, but you will not stop resisting. I can't believe none of y'all. They're violating the Constitution. This is treason. Raise your hand. I need two witnesses. I need two witnesses. The officers, y'all are right. Y'all are going against y'all constitutional oath. You're going against your constitutional oath.
So officers initiated a traffic stop in Harris County, Texas for a vehicle having a fictitious plate bearing the word traveler on it. During the stop, the defendant refused to provide.
Traveler? Okay. All right. Good morning, Mr. Daly. What would you like?
So Judge, two things. I've talked to Madam Prosecutor on this case, Judge, and I'm approaching on two things. One, bond reinstatement and PC on this case, Judge. She and I have already discussed it on this case, and we just both want you to hear the PC if we can, Judge.
Okay.
And then on the bond reinstatement as well, Judge.
So officers initiated a traffic stop in Harris County, Texas for a vehicle having a fictitious plate bearing the word traveler on it. During the stop, the defendant refused to provide.
Traveler? Okay.
During the stop, the defendant refused to provide ID or insurance information, stating, "I do not consent to this." Officer attempted to remove the defendant from the vehicle, and defendant actively resisted by pulling his arm away from deputies until he was detained.
Okay. Tell me what.
So we looked at, I'm sorry, Madam Prosecutor, the interference with duties of public servant, Your Honor. Even if my client is failing to give them that, then it is an arrestable offense. But in this situation, it is, Judge. However, in this particular situation, he didn't interfere with anything in terms of his own arrest. I can, if it was a resisting or something to that effect, I can.
They're just trying to get him out of the car.
I don't
And
disagree.
It's classic sovereign case where got the license plate, think that traveling by right is what I think how they term it.
In this situation, Judge, and the reason I'm employing upon the court is, even from what Madam Prosecutor has seen on the video, they're pulling and tugging at his arm, which put my client in some fear. It was more than one officer. It was pretty.
But he still has a duty. If they're asking you to come out, they can lawfully do that. And there are videos, and go on YouTube, right? There are hundreds of videos where officers will literally destroy your car to get you out. When you get into a pissing match with a person who has the power of arrest, who's going to win, Mr. Daly?
We don't disagree, Your Honor.
Right. You know what I mean? That's real life.
We don't disagree, Your Honor. I think under the circumstances of what actually happened, it was not Mr. Daly's position to resist or to interfere. That was not. He was concerned for his safety at that point. And actually, I don't know, did you hear that on the video? Right. And so in reviewing the video, it was pretty quick, pretty brash. They didn't give him an opportunity to respond per the prosecutor. In this situation, it wasn't as if he was intentionally
Remember,
not.
this is just a mere probable cause.
Yes,
So,
Your Honor, I agree.
they ask you to come out of the car one time. Yeah, it's really, so, I think that there's enough probable cause to go forward now. The problem is, Mr. Daly, is that we revoke your bond is set at 2501, and you've continually failed to appear. So, the case and the way that you've treated us, it shows me that you just refuse to accept authority. How are we supposed to deal with that? How do we deal with that, Timberland?
Your Honor, the only reason I bring to your attention is I asked the court to take into consideration, we have a Black male works every day who, and I hate to put that on the court, but I do in this particular climate, that has never been in contact with any particular law enforcement court system. And from what I can see and what I hear out here from a lot of my Black male, and I'm sure it's common knowledge, is that because they are unfamiliar with the court system, they don't know, number one. Number two, when they do come in contact with police, and my mother is assistant chief of police. So I can understand, even when I was younger, I was taught that there are certain things that you have to do with when a police officer even stop you on a speeding ticket. What we don't know is whenever these officers come up, when you're somebody who don't have the privilege of having a police officer as a parent, or who isn't familiar and is being raised in this particular climate and seeing what they see on TV and seeing what they hear and everything that has occurred, you don't know what the proper steps are. I was trained from when I was grown up, what you do. I'm not saying that what he did was right or wrong. I'm not saying that how he reacted to this particular court, it is wrong. However, I'm employing upon the court to ask the court to take into a little bit of consideration, number one, from his perspective, all defendants, can't just say this, but I do see that, from what I've known from this particular case and now in talking to him, I do believe that there is a sense of sometimes they just don't know. Sometimes they just don't. So I'm asking to reinstate his PR bond. I am now on the case. What you know about me, I'm a tight attorney. I run a tight ship. So, and by which of way I believe I can reach him and getting him to court and resolving this matter, which is what I talked to the prosecutor about when you were on break. It's like, let's just resolve this. Let's take care of this.
I'll buy it.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, Judge.
I'm not going to do this again, though. I promise you. I don't care whoever you have. If you flake on us again, that's 3 times. It's out. I'm not going to do it again. Do you understand, Mr. Daly? I mean, when you come to court, good things happen. When you don't show up and you continually do it, you can't expect good things to happen. Now, do you have a Texas driver's license?
Not right now.
You're not allowed to drive.
Right.
You have a bond condition and you've signed an affidavit with me today promising you're not going to drive. I don't care how you term it. Driving, traveling, however you're going to word it, whatever you do not get into the driver's seat of an automobile, a motorcycle, anything with a combustible engine where you can get on the road unless you have approval from us. Do you understand? I don't care that you have to work. I don't care if you have to go to church. I don't care if you're going to a funeral. I don't care if you're going to wherever it may be. Do not drive. Do you understand? Heed this warning. You're not going to get another one. Okay, Timberlake, I'll reinstate the bond.
Thank you, Your Honor. And I'll talk to her. We were going to try to talk to Chief, but it's pretty busy
I
today.
think the case is only 3 months old,
Yes,
so you've got time. You can do whatever you want.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Judge.
Because you have a lawyer, I will waive your appearance. You don't have to waste your time coming to court now, but you must stay in touch with her and she'll tell you when you got to come back to court. If she comes back and tells me she can't get a hold of you because you're playing games or you've gone AWOL or whatnot, or you get arrested for something else, all bets off. We good? I'm not asking for much, man. Really. And for future reference, when you get into a pissing match with someone with the power of arrest, you are nearly always going to lose. It's just the way it works. And as a young Black man in today's society, you got to be extra special careful because things can go really wrong really quick. And there's evidence of that over and over and over. Okay? All right. Good luck, guys.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
I know you don't know it. It's just, there's a whole bunch of fraud.
Well, I didn't just fall off the turnip truck. I've been here for 42 years and people have been making these harebrained arguments for years and they don't carry any weight. Mr. Hicks, why don't you come on up and talk to you, or Mr. Aiken? That wasn't Miss Hicks.
You're on special appearance and fine.
All right, well, we'll talk about that here. This is file number What's that?
Yeah, and special appearance in the divine and living.
Okay, could you hand that to me? Well, first let me call the case. This is file number 222036SM. I'll give this back to you. You don't want to lose this. This is a birth certificate for Justin Michael Aiken. He happens to be the person that got this citation, Justin Michael Aiken. I don't want to keep that. I don't want you to lose it. You need it. Anyway, that's you. Mr. Aiken, you're here under one appearance or another. You got a citation charging with having no insurance. The last lady had the same charge. That's a misdemeanor. It's punishable by up to a year in jail, a fine of up to $500 and not less than $200. The second count is the one that carries a driving suspension. That's called driving suspended. That's a misdemeanor punishable by up to 93 days in jail and a fine of up to $500. That carries 2 points and it requires that your license be suspended. So that could affect your ability to drive a car. And then the third count is a registration plate violation, which is a civil infraction. I don't know if there's any sort of plea offer at this point. Probably isn't. What was your advice, Ms. Jackson?
I advised him that he should plead not guilty, ask for a pretrial, and pay off what is suspending him, which is basically a couple of tickets, I believe, out of Greenwich County. See if he can't get some reduction on that charge.
That's not bad advice. Mr. Aiken, she's recommending at this point that you plead not guilty, and I don't have a problem with that. Your driving record shows that you had some previous insurance tickets that you didn't pay. And then she indicates you may also have some things from Indiana, LaGrange County.
Branch, me.
What's that?
Branch County.
Branch County. Okay, let me look at this because I did look at this yesterday. The staff has been talking with you. They say you're very polite and respectful, but may not completely understand everything. Your driving record shows that you are currently suspended. You do have an ID. You have Coldwater, March of 22, failed to comply with judgment. That means you didn't pay the ticket. And so her advice is probably pretty good. What would you like to do, sir?
Well, there's case laws here that states that the use of an automobile as necessary to the earnings of a livelihood as modern life requires use in the interest of realism to conclude the right to use as an automobile on the public highways partakes of nature of a liberty within the meaning of the constitutional guarantees. Barbarian versus Luzier, 1958, 139 A2D 869, and then the right to operate a automobile upon the public streets and highways is not a mere privilege. It is a right of a liberty, the enjoyment of which is protected by the guarantees of the federal and state constitutions. Adam versus City of the Pocatello, 416 P.2D 46 4891 Idaho 99 1966. And a traveler has an equal right to employ an automobile as a means of transportation and to occupy the public's highways with other vehicles in common use. Campbell versus Walker, 78, Atlanta 601 603 2 Boyce Dell 41. Also, the word automobile connotes a pleasure vehicle designed for the transportation of persons on highways. American Mutual Liability Insurance Co. versus Chapat 60A.2 D2, 118. Motor vehicle, the term motor vehicle means every description of the carriage or otherwise convenience propelled or drawn by mechanical power and used for commercial purposes on the highways. The term used for commercial purposes means the carriage or a person or property for any fare, fee, rate, charge, or other considerations or directly or indirectly in connection with any business or other undertakings intended for profit A motor vehicle or automobile for hire is a motor vehicle other than an automobile stage used for the transportation of persons for which remuneration is received. International Motor Transit Code versus Seattle 251 P120.
So does that mean you want to plead not guilty to this stuff?
Yes,
All right. I
because
don't know if there's a club, you pay dues. As I said, the staff said you've been very polite and respectful, but you are woefully misinformed. People keep coming up with these.
I have one more thing.
Well, anyway, everything you just said has no meaning to whether or not you need a valid driver's license or insurance in the state of Michigan. And the problem is, Mr. Aiken, you could take all this misinformation and really get yourself in a difficult circumstance. I don't know who's teaching you this, whether you learned it yourself off the internet or you've got a mentor that is taking you down this rabbit hole. But I don't want you to get yourself in a situation where you're gonna have to live to be 99 years old to get your driver's license back. So first of all, Mr. Jackson's advice that you pay the ticket in Branch County would be helpful. Everything you just said has a thimbles full, an empty thimbles full worth of effect on anything. Your driver's license is suspended by the state of Michigan. You can travel all you want, but you can't drive a car until you get that cleared up. Secondly, you're not an independent nation unto yourself. You need insurance. I don't want you to get all sideways. You can't get your license back from following this irrelevant, meaningless information that you've been provided with. You seem like a nice young man. So I'm going to show you a plea not guilty. Would you give Mr. Aiken his birth certificate back? I don't want him to lose that. Now, you said there was something else you wanted to tell me?
Yes, if that's okay, Your Honor.
Yeah.
Okay, it states right here, under U.S. Supreme Court decision, that common law is the real law, the supreme law of the land, that codes, rules, regulations, policy, and statutes are not the law. So therefore, as in insurance, regulations, title, tags are not law. That's as it's stated here, Rodriguez versus Ray Donovan, U.S. Department of Labor, 1769, or 769 F 2D 1344, 1348, 1985. And then U.S. Supreme Court decision 1796. There, every man is independent of all laws except those prescribed by nature. He is not bound by any institutions formed by his fellow men without his consent. Cruden versus Neal. Then this decision has never been overturned.
Okay, I'm not sure where you get this stuff. If that were true, you wouldn't need me. You wouldn't need police. You'd have anarchy and people rioting in the streets and doing. We're about there now. People do whatever they feel like. That somebody says something they don't like, they shoot them. Somebody says something they don't like, they punch them in the nose. They feel like everybody else's property is their property. There's something here in the United States, here in Michigan and here in St. Joe County called the rule of law. And the judges don't make the laws, the legislature does. The judges are sworn to enforce them. So at this point, somebody gave you all this information, which doesn't really affect anything, and it isn't a legitimate defense. You're entitled to have it. You're entitled to be misinformed. I can't, and you're entitled to believe what you want. You're entitled to have a trial in front of 6 jurors.
We can do that.
This isn't even. That stuff won't even get to a jury. The only question would be, did you have insurance and were you driving? Anyway, as I said, I don't want you to get on the driving suspended merry-go-round and you'll be unable to get off of it. Whoever is giving you this information is doing you a terrible disservice. You got these tickets in other jurisdictions that you didn't pay. Now you're suspended. How'd you get here today?
I got a ride. Somebody gave me a ride.
All right. Well, don't drive anymore till we sort this out. I would like to see you get back on the right side of having a driver's license. This stuff is not helpful. It doesn't aid your cause. It has little meaning. And the bottom line is you need to have a valid driver's license. You need to have insurance. This stuff doesn't carry any lawful weight in any court in the state of Michigan. So I'm going to show you're pleading not guilty. We'll send you out to the court office. We'll have a pretrial. You can share your thoughts and beliefs with the prosecutor. It'll probably just make them mad. But Ms. Jackson's advice is a good one. If you can go get the tickets paid off, get your license available to get it, they may give you some consideration. But you live in Constantine, which is a little place.
Right.
Every time you drive, they're going to pull you over again.
Yeah, it's
We're going to be on the merry-go-round and we won't be able to get off of it. So, like I said, you've always been polite and respectful, and you're entitled to believe what you want, but this isn't helpful to your cause. So we'll get a free trial, let you share that information with the prosecutor, see what they want to do. But Ms. Jackson's advice, I think, is good advice.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Aiken, why don't you take him out to the counter? Now, what's going to happen next, and I apologize, once upon a time, we used to do the pretrial right here at the time of the arraignment. But with county cases, we're not able to do that presently. Are you missing work right now?
No, not right now.
Okay, good. I don't want you to have to take time off from work to come back here, but we'll talk further about this. And if you want a trial, you're ultimately entitled to have one. My hope is you could get some of this stuff squared away and the prosecutor will give you some consideration, help you get your valid license back. But when you were young, you took driver's ed, you did all the steps you needed to do to get a valid license.
Correct. I did then. That was before I actually started researching into law, actual common law of the United States of America, which is common law, God's law. Legal is undoing of God's law, the legal. That's what it comes down to. I mean, I know you don't know it. It's just there's a whole bunch of fraud.
Well, I didn't just fall off the turnip truck. I've been here for 42 years and people have been making these harebrained arguments for years and they don't carry any weight. And I'm sorry that you have gone down this path, but it isn't going to be beneficial. And the better, and you went to all the effort to get a driver's license. Don't throw it away because of some mistaken beliefs about something that was rendered in 1796. So anyway, we'll send you out for a pretrial and we'll see where this goes. But I appreciate the fact that you are polite, respectful, and you have a right to believe misinformation if you want to, but it isn't in your best interest. All right, good luck, sir. We'll probably.
None of that does anything. That's more of the bullshit that we just ignore that stuff. So you want a hearing? Well, if you want him to prove it, then you ask for a hearing. Yeah, what brand?
Oh, Terex.
Terex, all right. So basically the argument is your Terex is not a motor vehicle. Well, it's not an ORV, not an ORV. Okay. So I saw your response this morning. I saw your reply to her response. Did you see those, by the way, the reply? All right. So I think we've all seen the same paperwork. Okay. You want to hit some highlights of your arguments?
I mean, my argument is pretty much through the whole thing. And like I said, again, this goes back to just trying to label this an ORV. And it's strict ORV, like if I took a monster truck up on the roadway that takes up both roadways, can't turn, make turns in roadway, right? The way the statute's applied, they could be, and for instance, they advertise like Ford Raptors and such, right? They show them in all the commercials going up mountains, same with Jeeps, all, they advertise, hey, take them all off road, right? So the way the statute's written, they can just basically be like, oh, hey, anything with that looks like, pretty much any vehicle is capable of going off road. So at any given time, the way the statute's being applied to me, they can just, any vehicle is capable of being taken off road.
Let me stop you though. Let me stop you. That's actually a different argument. So one argument is your Terex is not an ORV. The other argument is their ordinance or the statute they're applying is just too vague. It's just unconstitutionally vague. Would you agree with me? That's two different arguments?
I think they tie me up.
Well, absolutely. Absolutely. But the reason I want to make sure we're all on the same page, because I think there's two different responses that could come and two different decisions that could be made. Would you agree with me? Okay. So I want to take them one at a time. So first is, well, one would be your Terex is not an ORV. doesn't meet the definition. And the second argument would be, and the definition they're using is overly vague. Okay, so, Madam Prosecutor, pick one of those arguments. Let's pick one and we'll talk about one at a time.
Certainly, Your Honor. Let's start with whether or not we all utility.
Just call it Terex. Just call it let's make it specific to him, the Terex.
324-81122.
Oh, give me that again. I was somewhere else when you started talking. Go ahead. MCL.
81101 sub U defines ORV as a vehicle, a motor-driven off-road recreation vehicle capable of cross-country travel without benefit of a road or trail on or immediately over land, snow, ice, marsh, swampland, or other natural terrain. It goes on to give examples of what is included in an ORV and what are not included as an ORV. Here, the utility terrain vehicle, as Mr. Cusell labels it, is an off-road vehicle. Exhibit A that I included in my motion is a.
Let me stop you. I'm sorry. In your reply to his motion? Is that where your exhibit A is? Okay, go ahead.
Owner's manual, it particularly gives under basic safety off-road vehicle, off-highway use only. This vehicle is not an all-terrain vehicle. It is designed and equipped to be a multi-use utility vehicle for off-highway use only. Use of this vehicle on public roads and paved surfaces is hazardous. Do not operate this vehicle on public roads or paved surfaces. In addition, in Exhibit B, I included a relevant portion of the ORV handbook that is found on the state of Michigan's website, and it includes utility terrain vehicles as an ORV. It also, conveniently enough, includes a photo of a near identical ORV that Mr. Cusell operated back on February 3rd of this year.
Okay. Anything else?
I guess I can go further. Mr. Cusell then goes on to liken it to something like a Ford Raptor, a Jeep, monster truck. The multi-purpose personal use vehicle used for personal family conveyance. MCL 324.8112 sub 1 states that an individual shall not operate an ORV that is not registered under the code upon a street, county road, or highway. A Ford Raptor, Jeep, and a monster truck all need to be registered in order to operate on.
Right.
Mr. Cusell was not pulled over for his existence operating an ORV, but because that ORV was not registered, did not have a license plate. For that reason, I believe that this motion should be dismissed and the people renew their request for motion.
I have an objection to that, Your Honor.
Yeah. Well, it's not an objection, it's a response, but go ahead.
Okay, well, again, none of the registration or any of that stuff was even brought up. Any of it, they slapped an ORV on it because they had me held in the car for 45 minutes on phones. I had a body cam trying to figure out what to even charge me with because I wasn't pulled over in retaliation. And that is what they pulled me over for. Rating the one is what was stated and put on there. And going back to liability or the not operating on highway use, it's referring to, we purchased those, I don't know if that involved one or used them. They tell you that they come stock to only go about 50-ish miles an hour. You can get a module to make it go highway speeds when they're referring to highway.
I saw that in your response.
The higher speeds, and that would be the reason why. And I think everyone does nowadays see how common these UTVs are, see them all over the place.
I got to shoot you down there though. Because you spend a lot of time talking about that you see these all over. That doesn't make them legal. I mean, that just bottom line doesn't make them legal. The fact that some, for example, some communities just kind of like turn a blind eye to golf carts, right? That's not necessarily saying they're legal. That's just saying they're not enforcing them. Now that gets to your other argument, which, does that create an unfair situation? But I gotta shut you down there because just because you see them doesn't mean they're legal. But let's get back to that language you used. Like, I gotta find it. Oh, okay. Do not operate this vehicle on public roads or paved surfaces. I understand your argument is they're telling you to stay off the highway with a stock Terex, but they didn't say highway. They said not safe for public roads or paved surfaces. That's what they said.
What?
So I'm just,
Again, why, like, so how they put on bicycles, they wear all bells, knee pads and helmets, right? So
I understand that.
They don't operate on public roadways without a helmet.
I understand that's your take on what this means, but the clear language says don't go on paved surfaces.
Yes, clear language and same with the manuals for again, dirt bikes, motorcycles,
Right.
right? Yeah, that's still legal for people to drive around without helmets.
All right.
No, because it's a liability issue. That's why they put it in there.
So,
What people do with something after they purchase it.
so my understanding is that if you jump through the hoops, if you go through the process, it's possible, you know, you might have to add some equipment to your Terex or whatever. But it's possible to get some of these vehicles registered as roadworthy with the Secretary of State. That's my understanding. You know, if it's got, and I made a list, you know, if it's got bumpers at the correct height, it's got windshield and wipers and rear view mirrors. If it's got all this safety equipment, then you can get it registered and put it on the road legally. Is that your understanding?
Oh, no, in my defense, before this even happened, Sergeant Bryce, there was a bar there.
No. Hold on. I'm talking generally. I'm not talking specifically to you. I'm talking generally speaking. Do you agree with me that there is a process that the state of Michigan has that you can take something that may be an off-road vehicle and you can go through steps and have it roadworthy and registered as such with the state of Michigan? Do you understand? Do you agree there's a process for that?
I'm for certain vehicles, I would say, yes.
Okay, all right.
My specific UTV, they are already equipped and sold, road ready.
Okay.
Again, you go back to the disclaimer, just because they put it in there, it's a disclaimer for their.
Then why have you not registered as a vehicle with the state of Michigan?
Sergeant Bryce told me I was well within my lawful rights. I said, I stated, he was trying to both to me and my wife at the gas station right where I got pulled over. Well, previously to this, we even talked about it. We had a conversation about it at the gas station. The BP is simply a middle. He instructed, even told me, you're well within your lawful rights.
Okay.
He said this numerous of times. And then I relayed this to officer, I don't know.
The officer that wrote the ticket.
Okay, right. And then when I asked him the second interaction I had with him, I asked him, like, dude, I need to get you, which is part of the body cam. I'm still trying to get a hold of these things because I have to take them to court for it. Because they're withholding body cam image. Where I asked him, hey, I need you to get a supervisor here to clarify this because he told me I'm not getting a pissing match and drove away. So.
All right, stop there. Hold on. Is it your understanding that there's a mechanism by which if the safety equipment is there, then the vehicle can be registered with the state of Michigan?
But it's my understanding that the specific township or municipality needs to adopt or identify certain roadways that they are then able to operate on. As far as I know, the township Huron doesn't have any that are safely permitted. I do believe that.
Hold on. You're telling me if the state of Michigan registers it as a motor vehicle, you guys can still say you can't go on your roads?
I believe it's county owned roads. Or it's my.
Even though the state says it's a motor vehicle? Because that's my understanding. If the state registers it as a motor vehicle, that's what they're doing after all the safety equipment is there.
But I believe it's for limited use. So like, there's examples in the statute that talks about for limited purposes of, say like parades or something to that effect.
Again, Your Honor.
Hold on. I'm cogitating. Well, it would seem to me that the township's got to get off its ass and do something with their ordinances on register. I mean, if the state's out there authorizing people to drive these on pavement and you guys just haven't decided where they can and can't, it sounds like the township's got to get on the board.
I could even look up their one that's decided, to be honest, they said it didn't exist.
What doesn't exist? I'm sorry.
They're trying to charge them with the code they gave, they said it doesn't even exist. I couldn't
Okay.
even look it up.
Brother, you keep throwing new arguments in.
No, I'm sorry. Well, I'm just bringing it up.
Hold on. Let's not get there yet. I'm making notes so you don't forget to get there, but don't get there yet. I'm having trouble figuring out how the township can tell somebody they can't operate a motor vehicle that the state of Michigan says is a motor vehicle.
Yeah, I am not specifically prepared to argue that only because Mr. Cruzel's ORV wasn't registered, so it has no bearing on whether or not it can operate.
But it can be. Well, don't get me started with that. I mean, all right, so let's talk about the fact that they've charged you under an ordinance that doesn't exist. My paraphrase of your argument.
Yeah, I've been trying to clarify too, and bring it up too, but I've been trying to find it, doesn't even, the code they cited doesn't even exist.
All right, hold on. Let me get to the paperwork.
I just had one fact I wanted to throw.
Hold on. Don't do that. You're confusing me. Make your notes so you don't forget. All right, so if we look at the ticket, offense code is 257311. Authorization code is, I don't know what that is, 00003.
Yeah, I think.
Is that, I'm reading it 00003. So I guess let's get a clarification from the prosecutor. What is a specific ordinance, statute, whatever, that the ORV on roadway is being prosecuted under?
So here on adopts the Michigan Traffic Code, which I referenced to, but I also stated in my motion, that.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but the reply that I'm looking at for today?
Yeah.
All right, so let us both know where to find that. Yep.
And, my final argument, or my final, sentence before my argument. Ultimately.
Okay.
Or on the roadway in violation of MCL 324-81122 and Huron Township Ordinance 506-4, which I do have a copy and it is on and available in E-code 360.
Okay. Could you provide a copy of that to Mr. Purcell? You only have one copy?
I do.
That's all right. Mr. Cruzel and I can share it. Yeah, probably helpful. Mr. Cruzel, why don't you let me have that for just a minute. We'll make copies. So then you've got a copy, I've got a copy. You got a copy for yourself, counsel?
I don't, but it's word which is taking action.
Let's make a couple copies of it. All right, so while we're waiting for those copies,
I would like to also add, Your Honor, to make this even more interesting, the township is doing, Police Chief, Robbins, we've known him.
hold on. Two.
Not relevant. He keeps believing there's some sort of conspiracy against him. When in fact we're here today for operating ORV on the roadway back in February. If there's any conspiracy, it's one that Mr. Purcell's orchestrated himself.
Okay, hold on, because I think your objection might have been a little bit premature. I don't even know where he's going.
So what's funny about the ORV thing is because Police Chief Robbins, we've known him for representing our personal ORV, had his, my dad, same thing.
Okay.
He even contacted my dad and had asked him, he's here, asked him to have me call him because he couldn't call me for legal reasons. And when he said, he brought it, he goes, man, you can't have an ORV, bro. So he's trying to work out, he even told me he wanted to work out a deal with me. So he sold on the phone. And,
That's simply not true.
it's very true. You can test that. You can text
Well, okay, well, hold on. Neither one of you were in on the conversation. So you sit down, let me hear what he's got to say.
So I called Eric, voicemail, he called me back and he started off saying, no, man, you can have door windows on it. You and I both know it's not just an ORV. And then he goes on to call it. He goes, oh, well, you can't have a motor vehicle. So then he flip-flopped the terminology.
Okay.
And there as well.
But I don't mean this to sound condescending, but what's the point of that story?
But so they're just the original stop, because again,
There's confusion.
yeah, but you're right, and that's why they kept in the car so long, because they were trying to figure out what to even do, and that's.
Right.
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 Right, so that's where this little ORV statute is trying to apply into my situation.
Okay. All right. Okay. I don't doubt there's confusion. I mean, I'm here. I'm here. Okay. All right, let's get back to the paperwork. You got a copy now, Mr. Purcell? All right. So counsel, if you can show us or direct us, I should say, to specific language where the township's hanging its hat.
Sure, so it similarly, identifies the definition of an ORV on the second page.
ORV or vehicles, is that where you're reading? Okay.
And then, it goes on to state.
Are you going to prohibited activities?
So, I am, yes, 5064. From the activities.
S. Is that where you're going?
Yes, I am.
All right. So just so we're clear, so he knows what he's defending against. It's 5064 S is the prohibited activity, and 5063 would provide the definition that you're trying to apply to his Terex.
And word for word is.
All right, Mr. Crucell, now at least you know exactly what language you're fighting. Okay.
Yeah, and again, with the documents, law, it even, that I look back behind and show Dave and Jeeps and trucks, and they're advertised and sold and shown as recreational vehicles off road and everything. This would allow the township or the state to just at any given time be like, oh, hey, we don't like you, so here we're gonna side with an RV money for any vehicle that's capable of going off road, because that's just what they want to claim it as. I mean, that's just so ambiguous. It's outrageous.
But I think her argument a few minutes ago, maybe more than a few now, was, but all of those are registered.
But that's not what was the issue with Annie. That's not what I was even, no one even brought it up at the time that I was arrested. He stopped, none of that stuff. I was just stopped in peer retaliation. I wasn't charged for any of that stuff. No one brought it up. And again, going back to it, I was previously told I was lawfully allowed to do what I was doing.
What do you think the retaliation's about?
Because I had $200 with this officer. He's a new hire. And what happened was this all stemmed from the fact that our neighbor.
Oh, just bad blood between you individually?
Well, I guess so, because I didn't even know him for a whole year prior to this. I mean, it's even in their notes and everything that my neighbor kept calling saying we're reckless driving with our kids. And it's even on the thing that he was intoxicated almost every time he's calling. And they stopped coming out. And Officer Price even said, we're not coming out unless you guys, we're not doing nothing wrong. And this is going on until this new hire kid shut up. And I told him, I was like, dude, you need to go talk to Dane. You got to go do it. This has already been taken care of. This guy keeps calling. You even told this lady, when they call in a freaking
Dispatcher.
Put in the note several times, the guy's intoxicated, just making calls. And that's why they stopped coming out. I told them this. And then, but yeah, it was the next day after I told him, dude, you need to go get your supervisor here, please, so we can face out. And that's when he told me, I'm not getting a missing match and left. And I know his body cam's out, I've seen it. And that's why part of the body cam I'm still trying to get, but they won't give me. And there's still other parts and stuff that other body cam that I know is missing, I'm still trying to get a hold of. Because and then Officer Smith, they're in body cam even talking that they were purposely, all that officers, was it side or like yeah, that he was purposely watching for him. He's on the phone talking about this. He's also on the phone with Everett, a couple other officers trying to figure out applicable laws because he didn't know. They arrested me based off something he thought he could arrest me on. It wasn't even an arrestable offense. And then he come in, the only reason he found that out was because he had called foiling Jill Evans. And that's what, and then the original officer that stopped me, he couldn't even finish filling out the citations. Officer Smith, who was his supervisor, had to get in the car and finish filling out. And that's what they ended up, because he's on the phone the whole time trying to figure out what to even put on the thing he's arguing. It's been an orchestrated event the entire time, up to leading how, especially shows even more that there was collusion. It's how I got an unsigned order and all this stuff sent to me. It was more just threatening and intimidation. And that's what.
Oh, unsigned order.
Yeah, in the very beginning, I got a default order that's unsigned, didn't have.
Oh, no, brother. No, brother. Hold on. Stop. I gotta say this. Listen, that's just timing. That nobody from Huron Township called up here to one of my clerks and said, screw him. It's because it happens all the time when there's a misdemeanor tracking, people forget to deal with it. So we got a speeding ticket you're in default in right now.
I'm full for people that work in the department that people are always conversing between the judges and the prosecutors.
But I'm telling you right now, that none of my clerks defaulted you to try to cause you trouble. It's in the computer and it happens all the time. The misdemeanor case is tracking it slower, and you don't realize you got to do something different with the civil infraction, so a default enters.
Hold on.
I have to tell you, there's no conspiracy against you on that default. That's just the way shit happens. It's just because the computer tracks things differently with misdemeanor and civil infraction. And that's all fixable. Okay. Anything else that we didn't talk? I mean, I cut you off a couple times saying, don't give me a new issue at this point. Anything that you want to bring up?
I got pretty much all my arguments for being here. I mean, it's clearly.
What's going on with the body cam? You claim you can't get body cam.
He was also reporting this incident himself, so he had.
Well, that's a different issue, though. Part of discovery is he's requested body cams. You're saying he didn't provided those.
He's filed at least an FOIA request for the township, including any of the stops or any of the citizen complaints that police have been called out to. But also including his wife's traffic stop.
I'm not getting into all that, but you have provided him body cam footage of interactions. You're talking on top of me, counsel. You have provided him body cam footage of interactions between he and the officer that issued these tickets. Yes? All interactions. You don't have them.
I know for a fact there's a couple of videos missing.
All right. Do you have dates of incidents?
I do, but I don't have that stuff with me. That's all part of my lawsuit thing I'm filing for the circuit court for the FOIA lawsuit stuff, and I got all that stuff organized at home for that.
But that's stuff that you think you need to defend yourself here.
Well,
if it's not, that's okay.
Well, I mean, it would also just
No, I just need to know, because if you're prepping to defend for trial and that's discovery you think you need, then I'm going to order that they provide it.
Well, I'm here.
Okay, all right. So you don't need that to prepare for this case.
Not this motion here.
No. The underlying charges against you.
Oh, I would absolutely need that if this is
okay. Then we're going to need you to provide dates. So you want body cam footage if it exists from interaction between you and officer so and so for this date and that date. All right. Sure, go ahead.
As I say, he has been given all of those. It's my understanding that he initially appealed the FOIA, which went to the township supervisor. The township supervisor acknowledged the redacted portions were legal material and returned back to Mr. Crusoe. He then appealed the appeal, which went to my office, and he confirmed again that the only redactions are legal material. I think he's appealed us twice more. So it's not relevant for a portion of it.
Are you saying you never got the body cam footage, or you got the body cam footage and things were redacted?
Oh, well, those are part of the issues too. There's body cam with stuff and that's the problem, is there's all sorts of stuff that's redacted in body cams and in the reports, and then there's stuff missing.
Okay, hold on. Then you acknowledge that they've sent you those body cam footages.
So, okay.
For the interaction between you and the officer?
The incident before specifically the one that I want and that I know is missing is the one before he pulled me over, but the day before he pulled me over.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Prior to these tickets being issued, there was an interaction between that officer and yourself. That you've never seen the video,
No.
the body cam footage.
Well, I mean,
Okay.
again,
Do you know whether or not that's been submitted?
As far as I know, everyone these days been built.
All right. All right, but now you're talking about FOIA stuff. I'm talking about that body cam. That's all I'm talking about is one body cam. Okay. All right. But you can't, off the top of your head, you can't give me that incident date.
no, that wasn't.
All right. All right. So submit a formal request for body cam footage from that date to the prosecutor. She can check it out, see if it's been submitted to you prior. She can tell you when, she can resubmit it. She can file a motion with me and say, I'm not going to submit that because, and we'll go from there. All right. That's that one specific issue. Agreed? Okay. All right, let's get back to your argument, Mr. Crucell, that the language that we just went over is overly broad or vague. Let's hit that again. So is it the definition of the ORV that you think is overly broad?
Oh, absolutely. It basically encompasses any, they said, it even says any vehicle capable of cross-country travel without benefit of the road, right? And that's any vehicle, I mean, you can even take a smart car off the road if you wanted to, essentially. I mean, and that's what I mean. I mean, the way you just read, they can just apply that anytime they want to any vehicle, whenever they want.
If I'm understanding your argument, I drive an F-150, all right? So we would probably agree that we could take that off the road. Do not.
In commercial, so that's what they.
Right. So your argument is because they could write ORV on a roadway for that means this statute or this ordinance is overly broad. All right. Except they can't because the state of Michigan has licensed me to put my F-150 on the road.
But again, same place, mine can be the same thing.
But it's not licensed. It can be. It can be. And I would like to see you do that because then I want to see how they're going to keep you off the road. The state of Michigan said you can put that on the road.
But again, you're on it. The whole reason that they're trying to dance around the whole thing because they didn't bring up none of the registration.
I know you're getting back to the confusion
stuff, right? They're trying to use the definition of ORV to.
I get with the whole, you sat in the car 45 minutes, they decide what to do with you. I get all that. Okay. And that's problematic for me too. But I don't find this language to be overly broad because there's the licensing aspect of it that narrows it.
There's that conflict there, right? And that also shows the ambiguity of it, right? So you're saying that if I'm paying out a tax stamp for something, that now all of a sudden it's not this, but then they're trying to claim it's this. So how does a tag all of a sudden make this, not this? Doesn't make sense.
Hold on, you lost me.
All of a sudden, so what they're trying to claim is an ORV, but if I magically go get a tax stamp put on it, right, registered, now it's automatically just motor vehicle. So now it falls under.
Yeah, but hold on. It's not just about the money. And believe me, brother, I'm the first one to think that I'm the first one to jump in the bandwagon with you about the government grabbing money. All right. I fight that here. But it's more than that because let's just pick the specific example of an ORV. I could build myself a dune buggy, right? Completely manufactured. I couldn't because I'm not handy that way. But I mean, you know what I mean. I could get tubular stock and build a frame, and I could just grab a motor, an engine off of something else and fabricate a drivetrain. And I could have something that I could take off, go through the trails and the hills. Would you agree with me? No, but I mean, I'm just like build it from scratch, right? I'm Henry Ford. I built it from scratch and it's out there running around. But if I get it registered as a motor vehicle by the state of Michigan, they're putting their rubber stamp of approval on it saying it's safe for me to put on their roads. There's a safety issue, not just a money grab. And that's the way I'm looking at this, because from my little bit of research, if I got to find it, if I want to go through the process to get my manufactured vehicle roadworthy, I've got to have tail lights. I've got high and low beam headlights. I've got to have turn signals front and rear. I got to have a rear view mirror. The state of Michigan is checking all these things off before they license me or register me to put it on the road. And they're saying, they being the state of Michigan, saying it's safe to get on the road with the F-150s that you and I drive.
Yeah, but again, you're giving an example of someone building something. The thing that my vehicle already comes equipped and built, manufactured that way.
But here's the difference. Here's the difference. I can guarantee you that if somebody took the time and researched what these roadworthy requirements were state by state, they would be different. There'd be similarities, but they'd be different. So for Terex to sell it and say it's roadworthy, they're not guaranteeing you that it's legal in Michigan. They can't.
Well, that's why I put those disclaimers on. The other thing too.
Stop. I'm not done with my argument. That's where the registration process comes from. The individual states saying, yeah, Crucell, we think your Terex is legal on Michigan roads. That's the whole part of the process that changes from just any old thing that they decide they want to ticket somebody because they had it on the roadway. They could claim it's an ORV. No, they can't, because it's registered. My F-150, your F-150. It's registered with the state of Michigan as a motor vehicle, i.e., legal to be on the roads. That's what kills your overly broad argument, is because there's a process by which it is no longer an ORV. It's now roadworthy because the state of Michigan is registered as such.
But again, the state of Michigan is arbitrarily trying to convert everyone's right to travel by saying
that's a different argument.
Yeah,
that's a different argument.
I get where you're trying to go with this. I understand it. But again, you look at this definition, and I was not, and no one said anything again. This all goes back to, I was not cited for no registration. I was not cited for insurance. None of that stuff was even brought up. It was strictly the ORV that they're trying to stick to. And again, by going off this definition, that can be any single vehicle in the world. Anything that they want is capable of going off road.
Well, but here's my ruling. Here's my ruling. Because there's a process to register vehicles, whether or not they're ORVs, F-150s, whatever they are, because there's a process in the state of Michigan is to register them as roadworthy, I don't think that's overly broad language. Because I think you can't read everything in a vacuum. So my ruling is, on that motion, my ruling is I deny your motion that it's overly broad. I don't believe it is. But I still have problems with the way the whole thing went down. I'm trying to figure out how to deal with that, because, and I think I've told you this from the beginning. I get it. Matter of fact, I think the first day you were here, I get it. You've had interactions with Huron Township police officers that said you're good, and now all of a sudden this guy says you're not good, and here we are. I mean, that's blatantly unfair. Whether or not it was accidental or by design is still like, okay, that's not fair, but that's the way things happen. All right. There's not a hell of a lot of there's a distinction, but if I drive 75 miles an hour on 275 every day, and I go by 3 officers, Huron officers, and they don't stop me because I'm only going 5 over, but the state stops me and writes me for going 1 to 6 over. It's kind of unfair, but clearly I violated the law. You follow me?
Yeah, but you're comparing to the parking.
It's apples and oranges.
Yeah. You're going with that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to make that argument.
Right. Which is what I told you way back when. It's like, hey, I get it. It's unfair, but the tickets were issued. We got to go through the process and deal with it. Hold on. Stop. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to deal with the unfairness in the process. Okay.
And I get what you're saying. But again, if I was charging this in, say, Flat Rock, and I tried pulling this over Huron told me, then I get that.
Oh, absolutely. Your argument's much stronger in Huron. Absolutely. And once again, I'm feeling it. Okay. I told you from the beginning, I get it. It's not, it stinks. Okay. Do you know what the process is to register the Terex to put it on the road?
I get it. The state's processes to register vehicles.
How long would it take? If you know, well, I don't have a clue.
That's been in the part of if I was looking to do that, I would, but again, I've been confirmed that I had my lawful right to travel by several different, including, again, it's all stems from the traffic sergeant in here, I'm telling you that I have the lawful right to do what I have to do. So I don't have any intention.
Well, what do you think the chances are of him coming in here and testify to that?
I don't think that he would incriminate himself.
So you're planning on issuing, so you're going to issue a subpoena to him for trial?
And his fiance or girlfriend, because she was also the one relaying all the information to my wife about the same thing. So yeah, I would absolutely subpoena both of them have them come here. I ain't gonna sue people on the subpoena in there.
Are you willing to register the Terex? It would help resolve things?
I remember you pointing out that she would like to have a traveling argument if I got brought into.
No, don't go the traveling argument. To resolve these issues, would you be willing to register your vehicle with the state of Michigan, the Terex?
Not at this point, no.
Okay.
Yeah, there's other arguments that I have lots of stuff to show where the conflict with that is too. But again, that's not what we're here for.
What do you think we're here for?
RV road. We're not here for registration, none of that stuff. That wasn't part of.
But I'm trying to resolve issues. Okay. All right. Because
I'm not just going to run around and make this big deal with Huron. I'm not a criminal. I know criminal history. I was just doing something I was lawfully had the right to do, was confirm I had lawful right to do. And then now here we all are dealing with all this. And I'm being targeted by people that, and I've got good friends that work in the department. We've been, again, we've known Everett, we've been a part of this forever. And then now all of a sudden,
here's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing you want your trial. Because I don't think anything else is going to satisfy you other than to get the trial.
This needs to be dismissed. It should have been, yeah.
But you don't have a legal argument that I can hang my hat on to dismiss it.
I had all sorts of legal aspects to show that the whole beginning of this was an all stop.
You've never even argued that. You've never filed a motion to dismiss for lack of probable cause.
In the very beginning, you dismissed it saying, I find probable cause just because I have all the reports.
Oh, you did. Yeah, you did. Because I said you're going down the roadway and you're doing something he thinks is illegal, gives him a right to stop it.
Yeah, but again, that goes back to the point that we had interactions and he chose to retaliate instead of going to talk to a traffic sergeant who's alone, right? Who is ahead of their traffic, who is the one that confirmed that I had every lawful right to do what I was doing.
Hold on. Go ahead.
Who is above Sergeant Price, and he confirmed that operating on a roadway is that's why it's a very cheap citation.
Yeah, but you don't think it's going to be problematic if Price sits on the stand and says 2 different times I told him he could do what he was doing.
Also, sounds like he did make contact with Mr. Purcell, time to notify him that he was not to operate an RV in the roadway. And during the stop, Mr. Purcell himself said, I was waiting for this.
Okay. Well, I'm just going to tell you right now, if Price sits there and says on 2 different occasions, I told this guy that he could operate that vehicle on these roads, I can't see any trier of fact convicting him of the RV.
That's true. Why didn't he have him here for our child?
I don't know.
Again, because there's all sorts of issues. All that paper I've been filing, there's issues the whole entire time. I had no intentions of doing any trial. And I even said here the other day when I said I'm not participating, especially in a trial that ends in a court that owned by the state, you're owned by the state.
Let's talk about that. Hold on. Let's talk about that because I highlighted that when I got your motion last week or whatever it was. Okay. That's not the case. Okay. Huron Township, let me finish. Huron Township is bringing the charge against you. It's the Township of Huron versus you. It's not the state of Michigan.
It says the state of one of the how do you says the state of Michigan against?
It's a separate legal entity.
And
well,
Neil Gorsuch is Justice Gorsuch. He's even coming out in the Reagan Center, even talking about how courts like these, that's what they're doing. They're denying people their rights, and they're bringing the charges and judging their own case. That is exactly what it is. You can't have a fair trial that way. Absolutely not. And not to mention that.
All right, well, let me stop you. Let me stop you. That's the way our system is at this point in time. That's the only system we've got, is where the judiciary runs the courts, the legislature creates the law, and the executive branch enforces them. That's the system we have. If you don't like it, work to change it, but that's the system you've been charged in, and that's the system you've got.
And with the Chevron deference case being overturned, that explicitly stops them all of the referring to statutory, all the stuff, the statutory stuff.
All right, you're getting nowhere with any of those arguments, Mr. Crisell. You're not going to get anywhere with those arguments at this level. So the only thing you can do is get a judgment here that you can appeal to the next level and appeal that to the next level. And ultimately you may end up at the U.S. Supreme Court and have somebody agree with you, but you can't, that doesn't work here. We've got to deal with what we've got. I've got to deal with the precedents that we've got in place now, not your arguments that you think are going to be accepted down the road. That's the reality. All right. You and I can sit down over a cup of coffee, or I don't drink coffee, but whatever, and talk about how there are, problems with the system. But the system we have now is the only system I've got to work, and I'm going to work it. So what I'm hearing from you is we got to get a trial date and let you get a decision. If you win, beautiful. You can stop there. If you lose, you're moving up the appeal chain. Because none of the arguments you've got apply here. Your travel argument, I'm not buying that. That's never been accepted anywhere that I know of that I've got any reason to follow. I told you.
State arbitrators and they've been doing it for a very long time.
Say that again.
The state is, but the state is going and trying to take people's right to travel and saying that everybody has to have his license and all these things.
Absolutely. And but hold on. It's well established law, might be changed somewhere down the road, but currently it's well established law that if you're traveling by means of a motor vehicle, you have to have a operator's license.
This is not a federal court, sir.
This is not a federal court.
Okay, go back to Florida, right? Show it again. Another ambiguous statute.
Okay, look, I'm not going to argue this. I've already argued this with you. I've made it clear from day one that your traveling argument dies. It doesn't go anywhere in this court. So stop arguing that. It's not going to get you to where you need to be, which is to resolve these files one way or the other so you can appeal it if you want to. You follow me?
Well, I'm very willing to take it, yes.
No, it's not where I want you to take it. It's where you have to take it, because we're not going to have these same arguments ad infinitum over and over and over again. We're going to close these files at some point. But that's because you want them to, doesn't mean it's going to happen that way. I'm not going to dismiss these just because you don't like the way things went down. I don't like the way things went down. But the process has to be followed. As much as I would like to just make this go away, I'm not going to agree with you just to make the case go away.
It's very obvious what took place.
No, it's not. But once again, Mr. Crisell, it's obvious to you, but you're not the guy up here in the black robe that's making the decisions. It's obvious to you because that's the only way you can see it. And I get that. Right? I get it. It's your position. You're passionate about your position, but where you're losing it is you just won't accept the fact that I don't agree with you. I'm in charge and it's got to move forward. That's just the reality of it. And once again, man, I hope you appeal it. I hope you make some new law. Good for you.
I mean,
so now we need a trial date.
Which I completed the Jackson trial.
But once again, I don't care if you object. Listen to me. Listen to me. It's not being dismissed. That means we have to try it to make it go away. That's the way the process works.
Again, how was one supposed to be? And again, you yourself. And I've watched you in numerous other videos. Okay, I've seen you make yourself, you're on TikTok all over the place. And I see the things you say to everyone. It's very obvious. And you yourself has even admitted to saying things the same way. There is no way that I would ever have a fair trial. Any way, shape, or form.
That's bullshit. That's absolute bullshit. Once again, just because I happen to agree with the prosecutor or any other party in a case doesn't mean I'm biased against the other party. At any point in time, I've got to make a decision. Somebody's right, somebody's wrong.
That, right, to make it seem like you're not, but it is exactly how it is. The prosecutor and these courts, they work together.
But
it's all owned by the state.
Then once again, Mr. Crisell, then you need to appeal my decision when I told you I was not going to recuse myself. You should have appealed that. But we're not going to keep plowing the same field. I'm going to set a trial date and you're going to be here for trial or I'm going to issue a bench warrant. I don't know any other way to resolve the file. I've got to resolve these files. You need these files resolved. If you want to appeal me, you got to have a decision to appeal.
Yeah.
So, you keep sitting there and say, I'm not going to participate in a trial. At some point, you have to, if you want these to go away. And hear my heart. If I knew of another way to get you to where you want to go, I'd throw that suggestion out there. But once again, I'm not just going to roll over and say, okay, case dismissed, because I don't buy your legal arguments.
Which is, again, wild to me because it's very clearly that this whole argument thing is being overly applied because it's not.
But once again, it's clear to you. I just told you I don't agree with you. But you can't accept the fact that I might disagree with you. That's unhealthy. I mean, you can believe I'm wrong. That's okay. But you got to accept the fact that I'm in the judgment seat and I've said you're wrong. Then appeal me. That's the way the process works. I understand you think the process is faulty, but that's the process we have. So if you've got some other way to resolve these files, a suggestion, I'm open to hear it. But the only thing I can say is we got to get a trial scheduled and let the chips fall. And I'd love to have you bring Officer Price in here. Because I told you from the beginning, I believe that inadvertent or not otherwise, the Township of Huron kind of set you up to get the ORV ticket. Because I believe that you've been told in the past that you were okay. I believe that.
100%.
But I can't do anything with it here. Put Price on the stand and he says, I guess I was wrong because I told him he could do that. So what are we going to do? You ready to set a trial?
Leaving no other option.
There is, I don't know of any other option, Mr. Crisell. I honestly, brother, I don't know of any other option.
Well, I mean, again,
because I can't keep kicking the can down the road. I mean, I can't have this, I can't retire down the road and still have these open files here. I mean, I'm not doing my job. And I don't think it's doing you any good. What's it going on? Year and a half now? Closer to 2. Coming on 2. No, it was February 24. 24. Yeah. All right. So you want a bench trial? Or you want a jury trial? All right. You're going to represent yourself? Okay. Let's get a date.
Can you do January 30th, Thursday?
You? What day was it? Thursday? Yes. All right. So you're going to send the prosecutor an email with a specific date for that video you're looking for, or that body cam footage, I should say. Right? Okay. No further motions. We're going to trial. Well, the only other motion I'll entertain now is if it's a discovery motion. Understood, Mr. Crisell? All right. Questions? All right, good luck.
Real quick, I believe we're gonna move files here in the firm. You guys have a bench warrant.
You got a bench warrant for something?
Yeah.
What's it? A misdemeanor?
Yes. I did case number 4. No else.
You got it?
Yes.
All right. We can get you a case or a court date for that, ma'am. Mr. Crisell, we've got a speeding ticket that's got nothing to do with this incident, I think, from August 21, 24.
Signing this, the retaliation stuff.
Okay. Who was that officer?
Also Harold.
Okay. Did Merrill have anything to do with the other ones?
My wife on there, dead end the road, and again, that's.
Hold on. Merrill didn't have anything to do with the February incident, did he?
Not that, no.
Okay. All right.
Title.
So what are you going to do on this? Once again, it's in default because you didn't do anything with it.
So I need to do that. Paperwork, no one responded to anything to my paperwork.
What'd you file on this?
I got I gave him the ball in there.
Yeah, none of that does anything. That's more of the bullshit that we just ignore that stuff. So you want a hearing? Well, if you want him to prove it, then you ask for a hearing. You don't just file paperwork.
I told her if I want to schedule the date, you can give me a date.
Okay. Okay. Well, you don't ask the clerk if she wants to set a date. If you want to fight a ticket, you say, I want to contest this ticket. I need a hearing. So do you want a formal hearing date? I'll give you a formal hearing date. All right. You want to do that before the jury trial? Huron have any formal hearing dates coming up?
We can do it on December 10th, so we'll treat it.
December 10th?
Okay. Can you hear me?
I'm sorry, yeah. Just my regular Tuesday, you mean?
It's a Tuesday, yeah.
Yeah, it's all right. So formal hearing, what time do you do it? December 10th?
Do 10:30.
She's here all morning, so I'm asking you, 10:30?
And that's on the speed.
Yeah, the case ending in 143?
Yeah.
Okay. Then the other civil infraction is the CCW disclosure thing.
Which goes-
That's going with the February. You understood that?
But we do that before, right? No.
Usually after. Yeah, understood? That was a yes?
Yeah, I guess.
That was.
All right, anything else, folks?
It is the month of 9.
Denied. Motion to dismiss denied. Although I did like the argument.
So we'll be doing the warrant.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you get a notice for her?
Yeah, she's got a notice.
Ms. Purcell, your bench warrant has been set aside.
Yeah. Awesome.
What is that? That's a misdemeanor though. What date did you give her?
It'll be you. It's in
The 10th?
when you're.
January.
I know yours is a show, remember? I'm sorry. Pay attention when I write it.
Have a good day, folks.